Yep, you read that right. And I haven't done one of these in a long time. This is not like any video I've done in the recent, you know, I guess timeline or whatever. Because I've been posting a lot of reaction videos and gaming videos and things of the sort. But I've never really talked about my personal life like that, at least in the last month or so. So I kind of wanted to kind of open up a bit and tell you a crazy story of my childhood. I was very little, so this is actually pretty hilarious. So if you guys got a thing, a little popcorn or whatever, go ahead and pull that out because we're about to dive into a wild story. So there were two different occasions that this happened, and I was also a very little kid at the time. I think the first instance that happened, I was probably 6 years old, and basically it kind of started in class. I was in first grade, and there was this kid, and he had like a brand new car, like a brand new toy car, and everybody was super like, you know, infatuated with it. He became the popular kid. I mean, the day prior to him bringing that car into class, he basically had like no kind of popularity. Nobody knew his name, whatever, in the classroom, right? We're just little kids. We're like dumb little kids. And all of a sudden he brings it in, he's playing by himself, and then all of a sudden like a big crowd forms around him, whatever. Now, of course, I got jealous, and I'm like, man, like I want to play with that car. Like, it looks pretty cool. He let everybody in the classroom play with it except for me. So, of course, me being the vindictive person that I am, or was, I should say. I'm not as vindictive anymore, but I definitely was. I thought it'd be brilliant to steal this car from this poor child. So I remember asking him after, like, playtime was over pretty much. We had to put our toys away, and I'm like, hey man, that's a really cool car. Like, where did you put it? I mean, I'm just curious. He's like, oh man, I put it in my lunchbox, in the back or whatever. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So, the teacher is like teaching class, da da da, and I'm like, I have to go to the bathroom, da da da. I raise my hand, and the teacher lets me go. Now, I sneak off into the area where they keep all of our lunch boxes and stuff. And of course I see his just sitting there like in the middle of all the lunch boxes, almost like a treasure chest. And I unzip it, and with the stealth of probably the most obvious person on the planet, I basically like put it in my underwear. And I managed to keep it hidden for the remainder of class. I actually went home with it. And this is where it gets crazy. So my parents are very strict. I mean, they were very strict growing up and whatnot. And so they had a strict, like, hey, if we didn't buy you that toy is not yours. Like, we have questions. Where did it come from? Who gave it to you? Da da da. As most parents should be. They should kind of be aware of what their child is receiving from random people. So I was, super excited that I got this toy. I was super infatuated. And I I went in my room, I closed the door, which is also a big no in my house. Like, growing up, my parents had a strict, like, you cannot close any doors in the house unless you pay the bills. So, it's a really weird rule, but hear me out. So I'm playing with this car, and I'm having a blast. I was loud, I was vroom, vroom, vroom. And the car had, like, these loud little noises or whatever on it. So it's like, whatever, making a whole lot of loud noises. Now, none of the toys I had made noises like that. None of them did. And my parents knew that, and specifically my mom. So I remember playing innocently, and my mother standing in the doorway, looking at me. And then she's like, where did you get that from? And I'm like, oh, I'm like, oh my God. The craziest thing, I think one of the funniest things you could probably ever see is children trying to hide shit from you and even though you know what's going on, you want them to admit what's going on, right? But of course, I stuck to my guns, and I'm like, I'm just playing. She's like, playing with what? I'm like, nothing. And I had this big car. The car was probably the size of my head in my hand. So of course, my mom turned up. I got my little ass beat. All right. So, and on top of that too, I had to put the car in a package, whatever. I had to give the kid, I think, a toy of mine that I cared about a lot. And I was into Dragon Ball Z, so I had to give him one of my little Dragon Ball Z toys, whatever. And I was crying. I'm like, whatever. I was bamboozled. And And I had to tell him what I did. I had to apologize to him. And then that kid had his eye on me every time I walked by his stuff. He's like, bro, I can't trust him. So that's incident number 1. Instance number 2 is a bit crazier. So there was another kid, and this took place a couple years later. I apparently didn't learn my lesson. So this kid, you know, when Game Boys were popular, the Game Boy Advance SP, right? I desired that like no other. I wanted it so bad. I was begging my parents for it. They said no, 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 no. So I'm like, you know what? I'm a hardhead. So I said, if I can't get it from my parents, I will get it myself. And my friend had just, and well, actually, he was a classmate. It wasn't really a friend at the time, but he's now a really good friend of mine. But so he brought his Game Boy to school. He was showing it off. Same scenario. Everybody was infatuated, like, whoa, like crazy. That's awesome. Now, other people in my class had Game Boys as well. I was just one of the only kids that didn't have one. And I'm like, dang, I need to get that. So I did the same not so sneaky shit. And I said, hey, what's up, dude? Like, man, like, yo, like you were playing that thing earlier or whatever. Like, that was really cool. I'm not even sure what it is. I was acting all dumb and stuff, right? I'm like, hey, like, where'd you put it? Like, oh, I put it in my locker. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, thanks. And, you know, whatever. Like, I was just curious, you know, just curious. He didn't think twice about that, right? Man, I sat down and I pulled the same shit. If at first you don't succeed, try again. So my not so slick ass decided to, you know, raise my hand, go to the bathroom, and this time instead of a lunchbox area, we were older, we were 8 years old. We had our own lockers at the time. So I found his locker. I opened it up, and I thieved the shit out of his fucking Game Boy. I put it in my pocket, in my back pocket. I went to the bathroom. I was panicking. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm gonna, because the thing is, I did this. The only difference this time from the first time I did this shit, right, is that school was almost over. So I went to the bathroom the last 10 minutes of class. So the bell rang, everybody's rushing home, da-da-da-da. So I hung out in the bathroom for like 15 minutes, right? I hung out in the bathroom probably 5 minutes after the bell rang. And I looked out in the hallway, the coast was clear. I went to my locker, grabbed my stuff, and I toddled on over to, you know, my mom, who was waiting outside, got in the car, everything was smooth. That was until I actually wound up playing it. So I think I had that in my possession for like 3 days. 3 days. Day 1, it was cool. I was going crazy. I was playing whatever game was on that little Game Boy thing. And then I was upset. I forgot what game it was, to be honest. I think it was Pokemon. Honestly, I think it was Pokemon. So it was probably Pokemon. I was playing it. I made my own little profile with my own name on it. With my own name on it. Now watch, this all ties in. So I'm doing all that, right? And then I think one fateful day, right? It was a night. I guess I was playing it, right? I was playing it, and my mom, once again, I don't know what it is with mothers and sixth sense, but well, it wasn't even a sixth sense. I had the volume for my Game Boy turned all the way up. I didn't know how to turn the volume up or down. I was a dumb kid, so I'm like, whatever. I was playing the game loud as fuck in my room. I'm the only one in my room. And then, of course, I'm like, oh my God, I was getting so mad. I was just raging. Why can I catch a Riku? And so, of course, my mom is in the doorway again, standing in the doorway like Michael Myers. And I looked at her, and she looked at me, and I knew the question was coming. She's like, hey, what are you playing? What is that? I know I didn't give you that. And I'm like, shit, here we go. I was freaking out. I'm like, I don't know what I can say to get myself out of the situation. And long story short, I got my ass beat again. I had to put the Game Boy in a yellow manila envelope, right? And I had to hand it to the kid in my class and apologize in front of his mother, right? And the way it went down, I showed up to school the next day. My mom was there. She's like, go tell him what you did. And I'm like, I found your Game Boy, because he was crying about it. Like, because of course, like the days that I had that Game Boy in my possession, like, you know, he was in school, like, I can't find it. It was my locker. I'm like, man, that's crazy. That's crazy, man. I'll let you know if I find it. Bro, he was like, he pretty much put it up a wanted sign, like, I want my Game Boy back. Like, I don't know who has it, but please give it back. He was just freaking out, you know. and I was just chilling. So obviously, you know, the fateful day came where I had to give it back to him. My mom made me walk over to him and stuff like that. My mom was a good distance away, so she couldn't hear what I was saying. But his mom was right there, and I'm like, hey man, I found your Game Boy, dude. I put it in this, like, you know, manila envelope, trying to be slick, right? And I handed it over to him. He's like, bro, thank you so much, man. He like hugged me and everything. My mom had this puzzled look on her face. She's like, what? So she walked over. She's like, did he tell you what he did? And she's like, yeah, he found it. He found his Game Boy. So my friend, I guess my friend at the time, well, my friend now, at the time wasn't really my friend. He's a random classmate. His mom pulls out this $50 bill, right? She's about to hand it to me. She's like, oh my God, thank you so much. Here you go. Like, I really appreciate that. You know, thank you so much. My mom's like, no, tell him what you did. And I'm like, mom, please stop. And she's like, no, tell him what you did. And I'm like, oh my God, I stole your Game Boy. And she's like, what? I stole your Game Boy. And she's like, well, what he meant to say was he stole it. And he tried to play it off like he found it. And then I instantly watched the look of admiration transform into a look of disgust I will never forget. I will never forget that look. It was probably one of the cringiest moments of my life, and I will never forget that. The final straw for me with the whole thieving chronicles was later on that year. I was 8 years old, and my friend had a cell phone. This time it was a friend of mine, and it was a big blocky Nokia flip phone, right? And it had this, those little old classic 8-bit games on it or whatever. And once again, dude was a super popular kid. It was awesome. He had really cool ringtones, and I'm like, that's so cool. So I ran the same scam, man. I asked him where he put his little phone. He said it was in his locker. I waited to the last 5 minutes of class at the end of the day. Asked to go to the bathroom. Yeeted that shit, went home, and I was good. I was cooling. I was playing games on the phone, everything. I got caught the day I stole it. And here's why. So I had a toy box, right, in my room. And the toy box was actually right at the entrance of my room. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to get caught. I'm going to take the phone and because, you know, it's crazy. Like, I didn't think people would call the phone because I was just a young, dumb kid. And the phone starts ringing loud as fuck, right? So I'm like, oh my God. And I put it all the way in the bottom of the toy box. Now, this is why I don't listen to Soulja Boy anymore. Because I got caught because of that stupid ringtone. And because I obviously was horrible at what I did. So obviously I decided that very day that stealing was not for me. I was in my room taking a nap, and then you just hear the Soulja Boy up in there. Oh, why you gave that right? You run. And I'm like, oh my God! Ah! And I'm like, and I know, like, the house was silent, and all you hear is that ringtone. Now, my parents were super religious. They did not allow us to listen to any of that growing up, right? None of that. So they're like, what? So they both ran in the room, and they're like, whew. And I'm like, and I freaked out. I think I almost shat my pants, man. I'm like, I was freaking out. I'll never forget the feeling. And they're like, where's that noise coming from? And it was literally the toy box right in front of them. So my dad like rips off the toy box like the Hulk, and like the hinges just are discombobulated and all over the floor and stuff. And he's digging through the toy box and finds the phone. And well, let's just say it took me a couple weeks to recover from what happened after that. Oh man, just decided to get that off my chest because I haven't told a story time in a while, and hopefully one of you guys had a nice little laugh, or you know, whatever from my past. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I might do another story time. I'm working on some animated story times, but to be honest, those might not drop for like another few months because it takes a long time for me to animate. The process is tedious. But if you guys want to hear more, let me know. What are your thoughts and feelings on this? What were some seriously dumb things you guys did as kids that you remember now that you kind of cringe, you know? Let me know, and I will talk to you guys later. Take care. Peace.